He was so surprised when he saw me walk through the door. But yeah, he took a chance on me, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, I talked about wanting to come up there and do a story on the place, and the first thing he said, he's like, you got to talk to Peyton.
I guess you would probably be the lead fabricator if there's only two of you right now, right?
Yeah, I'm just the lead fabricator.
Yeah, just the lead fabricator.
Yeah.
At 23. Yeah.
Welcome to the Still Building America podcast with your co-host Josh Welton
and Darla Welton. Americans haven't forgotten how to work with our hands. There's a dynamic generation of young fabricators, blacksmiths, machinists, welders, hot rod builders, metal workers, manufacturing entrepreneurs, and artists who are still building America.
If you're involved in the pipe and tube industry, you won't want to miss the Pipe and Tube Conference this November in Omaha, Nebraska. This event is an excellent opportunity to connect with industry experts, stay up to date with the latest technologies, and explore new business opportunities. You'll leave the conference with a wealth of knowledge and new connections to help your business succeed. So mark your calendar for November 13th and 14th and join us in Omaha for the Pipe and Tube Conference. Register today at fmamfg.org. And now, back to the episode.
All right, everybody, welcome to our very first podcast interview for this new format of Still Building America. We are so excited to be continuing this column and these stories in this way. And we are beyond thrilled to have our very first podcast guest, Peyton Ray. What's really amazing about Peyton is it was her boss who talked to Josh and said, hey, I've got this awesome girl running our shop. You got to talk to her. She's fiery and does incredible work. She's got to be somebody that you talk to. So that stayed with us, and as we've been planning to put the podcast out, you stayed at the top of my list as I started building it for, okay, that's who I want to talk to first. She's got to be our first guest. So welcome to the Still Building America podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So Peyton, first, before we look back on how you got started, tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing.
So right now I work for America's Most Wanted 4x4. We do a bunch of Hemi conversions, and we also do a bunch of coilover stuff, so a bunch of Jeep stuff. And we also specialize in bob beds, which I'm the one that gets to do that. It's a lot of fun. We take 10 inches out of the bed, we shorten it down, and it looks a lot better in my opinion, but... So we do all the coilover chassis, we cut off a bunch of brackets, weld on our own, and then just we glue them back together and make them 10 times stronger than what the factory ones is.
Yeah, you guys built some pretty gnarly vehicles, the Demon and elephant-powered Gladiators and Jeeps or Gladiators and Wranglers, just banana stuff when they have to be super strong.
Agreed.
Oh my gosh. And they look so good. They look so
big
good.
Big wheels, big power. Everything's got to be strong.
Stance. Yeah. It looks amazing. That's a pretty big role. And how old are you?
23.
23. I love this. This is so rad. Like, you are why this Still Building America thing exists. You know, young people in the trades who are just hungry and out there doing the thing, especially a young woman like yourself. So Peyton, tell us, how did you get started in welding and fabrication?
So growing up, I loved building things. That was my favorite thing to do. I loved Legos and building with Lincoln Logs and everything. But welding came later on when I went to WyoTech. I had never touched a welder before in my life. And it was right around COVID when all this happened. I got out there, they pushed classes back 6 weeks. So waited that period, had to go back out, jumped straight back into the fabrication portion of my learning. And it was just a natural ability. And my instructors just pushed me and like, all right, you can do this. It's like, you just keep doing what you're doing and keep learning. It's like, nothing's going to stop you. So it's just from then on. I learned in 3 months, and I haven't looked back.
That's
Right on.
amazing. What is WyoTech?
It's a trade school. They do a 9-month program where you choose out of the, I believe, 3 core programs, and then they have a bunch of different specialty programs. So you pick a core, which is 6 months, and then your specialty program's 3 months. And then you graduate with a degree. You come out with student ASEs. It's a great, great program.
Wow. Where are they located?
Laramie, Wyoming.
Was fabrication your core, or was that something that, like, what were you thinking going to school that you were going to get into?
I took the automotive technology for my core, and then my specialty was the motorsports chassis fabrication. I honestly didn't even know if I would even like welding, but I know I wanted to work on something and just build whatever I could.
That's so cool. What was your very first experience of welding like?
It was a little scary because I didn't know what I was doing, but once I figured out how to do it, it was the most fun ever.
Kind of addicting, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite process?
I mean, I love TIG.
Good answer. Good answer.
I like all of them, but TIG is just so nice and precise and versatile. It's a good feeling when you get at the end of a nicely laid TIG bead.
Oh, yeah.
What was your first job coming out of that program?
It was at America's Most Wanted.
Wow.
Did they hear about you, or did you hear about them, or what was the process there?
So I had saw that they were hiring right when I was about to graduate. I sent in my resume, I think, 3 separate times to make sure that they got it. I think I sent it to like 3 different emails. I'm like, all right, this needs to make sure, like, got to be in the right hands. And so just by chance, I got my interview, and I'm not sure what Jared told you, but he was so surprised when he saw me walk through the door. But yeah, he took a chance on me, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, I had talked about wanting to come up there and do a story on the place, and the first thing he said, he's like, you got to talk to Peyton. I told him a little bit about the podcast that we do, and he's like, she's incredible. She's kicking butt and taking names. You got to talk to Peyton. So, that's obviously he feels that he's been rewarded with that chance that he took.
That's so incredible to have somebody who just immediately believed in your potential like that. Did you have any other people on your path, like from when you were younger or even now, who really influenced you or inspired you on this journey?
I think definitely seeing women more in the trades and getting older and just seeing everything. I mean, Jessie Combs is one that really touches home. My instructors in my fabrication class actually taught Jessie. So it's like, it's a whole nother level of just that feeling of learning from good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other welding women that you hang out with or that you get to ever work with?
Not really.
Are you the sole woman in your shop?
I'm the only female in the actual shop area. We have a couple people up front, but besides that, I'm the only one.
How's that been?
It's been interesting. I have a lot of big brothers in the shop.
No, I bet.
They like to pick on me, but I feel the love.
That's what brothers do.
Yeah.
And so that means you can give it right back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I definitely do.
Good. She holds her own. I love it. What was one of your very first projects at America's Most Wanted 4x4 that was just like, okay, this is a big project, but I'm going to tackle it head on? Like, was there anything that seemed overwhelming, or were you just like, all right, I'm just doing this?
The bob bed, the first one that I did, was honestly terrifying. We take the bed right off of the Jeep and we take it into my little corner and we cut it. And if the cuts aren't correct, then got to figure it out. It was a big, big learning moment because I'd never worked with sheet metal like that before. So I had a great teacher. I've just finished bed 36.
Right on.
2 years. So I'm doing something right, obviously.
That's incredible.
I know that feeling when you're jumped into a new situation, and I remember looking at my first like GD&T blueprint and seeing 1.5 mil tolerances. I was like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, you jump into it, and like when you know what you're doing, you have the right attitude, and you think through the process correctly, and so much is just troubleshooting. You quickly realize like, oh, I have the tools to do this. I know I can figure this out. And but I still, you see something different, and eventually you see so many different things, and you've figured out all these different things that you're like, all right, whatever they throw at me, I got. That's that big first step though. When you do have that, you don't have an instructor with you giving you advice. You don't, you're the person. You don't have 100 people to lean on or help you get out of a jam or whatever. Like you said, you got to figure it out yourself. And then once you do that once, it's like, okay, we got this.
Are you the only fabricator, welder in the shop?
I'm not. I have one other person that works with me. He's going to Mott to get his welding certifications done.
Nice.
He's about graduated, but yep, he's a hard worker. I'm very glad to have him by my side with everything.
That's really cool. What was one of the most difficult projects that you've had to work on?
I mean, figuring out all the coilover stuff that we do. I mean, everything has to be a certain way, otherwise some geometry is going to be messed up. But like jumping into that too, it's a lot that we do, and it's just figuring it all out, learning everything. It's quite a process.
Do you have to create fixtures, or is everything kind of a one-of-one kind of thing?
It's kind of a fixture. I mean, we base everything off of the frame, and then we just keep repeating that over and over again.
Right on.
That's pretty cool, being able to get new challenges. It's not always the same thing, even if it's in the same sort of world. I'm sure each vehicle has its own challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, vehicles, I think people think, they all just like roll off the line and they're all the same, but that's not always the case because of different options or modifications that people already did or whatever it might be. Do you guys solely work on newer vehicles or like all sorts of vehicles?
We do new and old. I believe we have like a 2001 Jeep TJ in the shop right now. And then, I mean, we have the newest of new as well. So, I mean, we work on a range.
Your shop is isn't it one of the largest distributor of crate engines in the world? Like it's specifically Mopar crate engines?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm learning stuff. What's one of the projects that you feel most proud of that you've worked on so far in your career?
I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many cool builds that we've done that it's hard to pick one. It's like there's the one Jeep that we just sent across last year at Barrett Jackson that sold for $300,000. It's like that one's super cool. That's fully coilover and bob bed. But then there's also some of my buddies that I've connected through the Jeep community, and we built a couple of Jeeps for them. And it's hard to pick because you got both like one thing special here, one thing special over here. It's like, it's hard to pick.
That makes sense. I get that. Do you ever create anything for yourself?
I have a Jeep that I've been working on for a while.
Okay. You'll have to send me some pictures of what that looks like. What kind of Jeep is it?
It's a 2018 Wrangler. It's a 4-door, bright orange.
Love it.
I've had it since, very beginning. It's my first vehicle. I got a nice build list going for it and just waiting for it to happen now.
Yeah, that's so rad. Do you do off-roading or anything yourself then?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten much seat time, but definitely want to do more of that.
Yeah, that's something we've enjoyed a little bit more in the past few years. Josh sort of always kind of had us in the, we like to have the super fast cars and everything, but
you can get in a lot less trouble doing stupid stuff off-road than you can doing stupid stuff on-road. So
this is true.
That might be one of the reasons.
Yeah, but it's so fun because you can just go places that your fast car could never.
Mm-hmm.
which is
Like get stuck 11,000 feet up in Ogden, Utah.
yeah. I mean, we've done a few dumb things while being off-road novices, but it's always been fun. And hey, we're here. We've made it out alive. So
That's correct.
yes, exactly. Are you actually like the shop like lead then, or lead? I guess you would probably be the lead fabricator if there's only two of you right now, right?
Yeah, I'm just the lead fabricator.
Yeah, just the lead fabricator.
Yeah.
At 23. Yeah. Do you have visions of what that could look like down the road, like building a team, or do you see opportunities for that?
Definitely. I mean, we're growing. So, I mean, we're about to move into a new building too. So it's going to be a bigger space, more room for people to work on stuff, more projects. So
Very cool.
there's always room.
Is it still in Holly, the new building?
We'll be moving a little further north into Burton.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as welding and fabrication goes, what do you do to kind of keep yourself sharp and on top of skills? And do you feel like your shop has some of the really great equipment that's available out there? Or do you like kind of dream of having some other things sitting on the shop floor?
I mean, I'm always dreaming of newer tools and stuff. But, I mean, for what we have, for the space that we have, it's like we're set. We have everything that we need. But moving into the new building with more space, there's more room for some fun toys.
Do you have a favorite tool or like a workhorse? You know, it's like, this is my go-to. This is the machine or the tool that I use the most that I love.
Probably the welder that I use for the bob beds. It's,
Right on.
I mean, it's a nice Miller welder. Hasn't done me any wrong. I can't really complain.
Do you know what model it is?
Not off the top of my head.
It welds. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
Is it a multi-process or
It's just a MIG welder.
the MIG welder? Yeah.
I still want to come and visit the shop sometime.
Oh, you definitely should.
Yeah.
It's one thing hearing about it. It's another thing seeing it in person. It's
Right on.
wild.
Very cool. Yeah, I'd like to see what you're working out of and what you're working on, and I just see the whole shop as a whole too. Yeah, obviously you put elephants into anything, and it's pretty dang cool.
So Peyton, what advice would you give to younger people, especially younger girls that are considering going into welding and fabrication?
I would say never give up. Always give one thing a chance. You never know if you're going to be good at it or not. Even if you are bad at it, keep at it, because one day you could be the best at it.
That's really good. Is there anything that you seem to really struggle with early on when you were in school, but now it's like you feel so confident? You're like, oh, why was this ever an issue for me?
Oh, yeah. I mean, going through all the comps and stuff, going through school, it's like, it's one thing seeing it on paper, but when you actually get your hands on it and you're actually like figuring out how to do it, it's a whole nother thing.
Concept to reality.
Yes.
I'm definitely not a book learner. Like, I want to see somebody show me how to do something, and then I've got it. If I just read about
Way
it,
easier that way.
100%. I got lucky that way, just with the people that I worked with early on in my career, just all had access to them actually doing the things instead of just reading about it or watching a video about it. That definitely helped me a lot.
There's a lot of younger people who get into welding, who get their first job, and it's rough. It's production work, or they're in a situation that just doesn't seem great. It's certainly not what they thought their first leap into the wonderful world of welding might be. But you seem to have been really lucky in landing where you are.
Lucky, persistent,
And
resumes.
I mean, that's kind of what I want to dig into is, girl, what was on your resume? What was the thing that helped you stand out? You know, I'm just trying to think of what we could communicate to some other people who are newer in the industry, who would like to have an opportunity like you have. But so I'm just kind of curious, like, what was that?
So at WyoTech, I mean, they have really good advisors for all that stuff you go through right before you graduate, and you create your resume. You put down like everything you obviously learned out at school. But the best part was I added my portfolio of all the welds and projects that I was working on throughout my whole school career. And I added that, and I think that definitely helped me. I mean, add some pictures in there. You never know what's going to happen.
That kind of support is so important. I love hearing that you had advisors that could help you put together a really good resume portfolio. I know, that makes me think about...
That should be the status quo. That should be how all schools operate, but it's not. So it's nice to hear of a school doing something the right way.
That's amazing. It really encourages me. We work with the Skills USA a little bit, and we've been judges in the metal art competition. The students, when they sign up to compete, they're creating a sculpture, but then there's this whole portfolio that the organization has required them to do along with that to sort of document the process and actually talk about the welding and the fabrication and even their creative process behind it. And it's such an important piece that I think a lot of students are missing. They're like, oh, I'll just show how, awesome my welds are and I'll be good. But it was like the whole package is so important.
Like in the math teacher always wanted me to show my work in math. And I'm like, why? I got the right answer. And they're like, well, if you don't show the work, we don't know that you didn't cheat. So.
Yes. And I love that there's actually advisors there helping students prepare that portfolio and show the work that they've done and be able to communicate it clearly to give that full picture of who they are as a welder fabricator. Do you think there was anything else in particular? Did you feel like you really stood out in a particular area in that portfolio?
I think the stuff that I had put in there kind of stood out. I hand built my rock sliders for my Jeep while I was at school.
Oh, cool.
It was building all that. That was my end of semester project.
Okay, that was smart.
I'm going to make this really cool thing for my Jeep, and it's going to be school credit. So,
yep.
Perfect.
And I want a cool job doing something with Jeeps. And okay. See, she's really slick here. I know. Yes. I love that because most programs do have a big project due at the end or multiple projects throughout and then a big one or something like that. So I love really focusing that end project on the area of the industry that you kind of want to go into.
I still think I would have made a flamethrower.
You probably would have, but maybe...
Then I'd be jobless, but I'd have a flamethrower.
Actually, as I'm sitting here, I was thinking, was there anybody in your life as you were growing up who did any sort of welding or fabrication work, or was this really out of the blue for you?
It was really out of the blue. My dad, he's a golf pro. He runs a golf course, and then my mom's a midwife. She delivers babies, so it's it's random.
Wow. What did your parents say when you're like, yeah, this is the path I'm going to take?
Oh, they were all for it.
Nice.
Oh, I love that. Do you have any projects or anything that you want to talk about that you're working on right now?
Something coming up that's pretty exciting. I get to do my first roll cage in one of the Wranglers that we were building. I'm super excited for it. We did a roll bar comp out at school, and that's the last time that I got to work on something like that. So I'm ready for that. It's going to be so much fun.
I love your excitement, your enthusiasm for it. How long of a project is that? How long does it take?
I'm not quite sure. I know it's going to take quite a while with it being my first one. It's a full kit that we ordered from Genrite, so it's like a big puzzle.
Yeah, I would think with as many Jeeps that are out there that need roll cages that somebody's already figured all that stuff out. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for you to do it.
I can't wait.
What kind of metal is it? Metal or chromoly?
I'm not quite sure. I haven't really looked at much of it yet.
Have you ever gotten to ride in any of the vehicles that you work on?
Oh, yeah. My one buddy that we built a Jeep for, it's Bilstein Jeep, Brent Hensley. He actually let me drive it a couple times.
Nice.
I may or may not have blown out a bump step or two, but
about that.
It's all fun.
Exactly, right?
Build it, race it, break it, build it.
Exactly.
I need a ride in one of those. I'm going to come up and hopefully somebody will let you take me for a ride in one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I don't, I know someone sure will.
Perfect. I love it. Well, this has been really great. Love talking to you.
Sure.
Yes. But we're going to come up to your shop. I wish we could have done it this time, but Josh's schedule has been all over the place. But yes, it's been so good to talk with you. And I know that a lot of other young people who have aspirations like yours are going to love hearing this. And I feel like you had some good advice. Love hearing the portfolio advice. I feel like that's a huge piece, a huge takeaway here, because I was just like, man, how did she get this job? What a great opportunity. And you just seem so joyful about what you're doing. And that is not always the case. Like Josh was saying, we like to talk about the reality of what happens in the industry. And we know a lot of people, their first job is not a song.
Well, it's also not just getting the job is a big part of the battle. But right now, once you get your foot in the door, it's keeping that job. So that's also something that you should be very proud of, is once you got in, you kicked ass, and now you got boss telling you should be on a podcast with us. So that's as equally as big as once you get your foot in the door, just making sure that everyone knows you're here to stay.
I would definitely say that you made your mark, you've made an impression, and you've made an impression on us. And I feel inspired talking to you, and you're why we do what we do.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Peyton. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
To see Peyton's work, follow her Instagram account at Peytato64. That is Peytato64. And also follow at AMW4x4, where you will go down the rabbit hole scrolling through some of the baddest Jeeps to roam the earth. Thank you so much for listening to the Still Building America podcast.
Still Building America is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association and part of the FMA Podcast Network. The podcast is hosted and created by Darla and Josh Welton. Episodes are produced and edited by Garrett Slager and Darla Welton. Additional production support by Dan Davis, Andy Flando, Dana Weicker, Mike Owen, Billy Culpa, Elizabeth Gavin, and me, Sarah Spring. Thank you for listening.
Pretty dang cool.